Ladies and gentlemen, direct from
the Las Vegas, sunny Southern California.
Ladies and gentlemen, direct from Detroit, Michigan. Direct from
the Las Vegas, sunny Southern California.
Ladies and gentlemen, direct from Detroit, Michigan. Direct from
the Las Vegas, sunny Southern California.
Direct. What's this?
So it's recording?
Perfect, yes.
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got Fullauto in the house. He's going to be sitting in for Andy Peterson, 21, who's Andy, I guess he worked all day today and he was really tired.
Right.
He couldn't join us.
Okay, I got it now. So you're hosting all these. So like each show will just be you having a different member of the website on, maybe, I guess.
With Andy, but he couldn't be on tonight.
Oh, it's going to be a co-hosting thing. I got you.
Yeah, so you haven't listened to any of them yet?
I listened to the first little bit, and then I had to get back to what I was doing.
Which did you listen to?
You only had one posted, right? That's one I saw.
No, there's two.
Oh, well, the one I saw, I thought it was just you and Andy talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
This time it'll be just me and you. It's all on your shoulders, Fullauto.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually responding to Red Haven at the moment.
To who?
Red Haven, Heaven.
Who's that?
He's the guy with the avatar from the, the Del Toro, what's the movie? Hellboy. He's got I think it's one of the guys from Hellboy. No. Okay, that's the voice from Lord of the Rings. You know the mouth? In the third movie, the guy that comes out and starts talking to Aragorn and ends up cutting his head off. Yeah, that's the avatar
Smeagol?
he's using. Yeah.
Smeagol?
No, not Smeagol. He's only in the movie for just a little bit. When they ride up to the gates of Mordor, this thing comes out with this gigantic mouth, and you can't see its eyes, and that's the avatar he's going with.
You know, I didn't get into those movies, and I saw the third one. That's The Return of the King.
Yes.
Okay, I did see that one. I barely remember it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing if he's going to want a guest on here with us.
Red Haven? I would hope so.
Okay.
I'm finishing it up now.
Okay.
Go ahead. What do you want to bounce off me?
So when did you come to Spikednation?
Oh man.
Spiker.
I was on the site back in the early 2000s when it was Spiked Humor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who were you then? Were you Fullauto?
I can't remember what my username was then. Fullauto was recent. That's because it was a gamer tag I went with, so I just started using it as a username for different websites I went to.
So the early 2000s at Spiked Humor?
Yeah, whenever that was. I remember I'd moved out. I was living on my own or with my brother at the time, and so yeah, it was way back when. And then for whatever reason, the company that had it sold out. Do you remember all that at all?
Yeah, we were just talking about that on the second episode,
mm-hmm.
on how Crave Online, who owned it. We weren't sure of why. I wasn't 100% sure of why. Do you remember why that was?
Well, I have just a guess. You know, with Spikednation, all the videos are embedded, so the only thing they're really hosting is just the web part, the chat part. It's more or less just like a message board that you embed videos in. the difference I remember it being with Spiked Humor was that you would actually upload videos to them because it was before YouTube. YouTube didn't come around until 2006.
Right.
So they're having to host the video, and bandwidth, I'm assuming, was more expensive back then, so they were having to pay for that bandwidth. So probably just the ad revenue wasn't making it worth it.
Man. But then they switched over to the embedding of YouTube videos.
The old Spiked Humor did?
Yeah, do you remember that?
No, that's been so long ago. Whatever reason. Is Crave Online still around?
I believe so, yeah.
Huh. Curious.
I remember somebody ridiculing me the first time that I posted a YouTube embed.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something like, I'm voting this 1 of 5 stars because you ripped this from YouTube.
You ripped it because you embedded it?
From YouTube. You stole it from YouTube is what he said to me.
He didn't understand how embedding works.
Well, he understood, but we just weren't doing it yet at the time.
Okay.
And we were still just uploading straight up, even though we had the option to use YouTube.
Okay.
But we were uploading straight to the site, and it was something that wasn't really embraced at first.
Well, I do happen to remember the very first video I uploaded to that site. I just read about Google Maps. If you typed in directions from somewhere in the United States to somewhere overseas, it would give you instructions of going to the sea, going to the shore, and then it would say swim X amount of miles. And yeah, it would, and it probably still does. I don't know, but it was one of those Easter eggs with Google. It was swim 3,000 miles to whatever, and in the UK is I think where I had it, and it was so cringeworthy now that I think about it because I just did like a screen cap on my laptop and recorded myself talking on the video explaining it, and then I sent that in. I don't even remember what the response to it was, but no one else had submitted it, so.
So I actually got a bit of bad news, man.
About what?
There's a reason that we haven't seen Bannock.
What happened?
Something very horrible.
Are you fucking with me because it's April Fool's?
Yes, man.
I'm about to say.
I'm pretty good at carrying on something like that and really fucking with somebody, but I just couldn't do it.
I've been on the internet all day today, and that's all I've seen is just April Fool's shit. So I'm skeptical.
My own heart started to race as I was saying that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't actually seen him in the comments. So I mean, is he still active on the site?
I have no idea, and I've been trying to reach him. I really briefly talked to him on Skype about a month ago, but it was just, it was kind of like, hi, hey, what's up, not much, and then no more.
Yeah.
I hope he's okay.
Yeah, he may just got busy with a job or something. Trying to look up his profile now. Well, he's changed his profile, his avatar since the last I've seen him, so...
Really?
And when you track him, he's got his age bracket as 71 plus. Well, it says 9 hours ago. That doesn't necessarily mean he wrote on it. Well, maybe it does, because the last thing is not in the request to admin for remote thread. It says he posted something 9 hours ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that means it's him.
Fucking Bannock. Bring your ass out of hiding.
I want to get on with Daft Cunt.
Yeah, that'd be good.
He's a old Spanish dude. Well, I don't know if he's Spanish. He lives in part of Spain, like on this island. It's like a vacation island, and he fucking lives there. It's just, I mean, I know it's Spain, and they're not all, they don't have the same gun laws that we do, but I wouldn't mind living there for like a month like he does.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So, anything newsworthy that you're aware of?
Well, there's a funny subreddit I've been checking out quite a bit here recently called The Donald. Have you heard about it?
No.
Maybe we could pull that up and look at it.
I just noticed you just changed your Skype avatar to Donald Trump today, did you?
Well, I couldn't find the original. I was using the Windows 10 Skype, and it still had my avatar of that physicist. Man, I can't think of his name. I could tell you if I wasn't in this conversation.
Right.
And when I went to,
Computer in front of you.
well, yeah, but Richard Feynman. Okay, came to me.
Okay.
It was a Richard Feynman photo, and then I figured, well, I'm going to be on here, and I actually installed the Skype client so I could do the hotkey stuff. And I couldn't find that picture, but I had this picture. I remember I downloaded this picture to make like a deal with it GIF. So like, I'll throw this motherfucker up here. It is a pretty funny picture of Trump doing his little face.
That smug face that he does.
Yeah, my youngest one just got out of bed. He came in here. Told him to head back down that way.
Did you hear about algebra?
What the subject?
There's a big debate about algebra, saying that it's just too hard and it should be dropped from the curriculum.
From what? High school?
Yes.
Who's saying that?
They're saying that right here in front of me. Political scientist Andrew Hacker of Queens College in New York insists. This is one of the worst records in the developed world.
And he thinks that's because... Can you send me a link in the IM part of Skype?
Yes, absolutely.
And he thinks people aren't graduating 1 in 5, really?
Right. Now, I mean, do we really need to learn that in high school? I mean, outside of basic math?
I would think algebra is part of basic math. I mean, it's I don't know.
I thought basic math was adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and then there's algebra.
Well, according to this, it's just algebra is the study of mathematical symbols and the rules for manipulating these symbols.
I mean, when in life, I mean, have you used algebra since you got out of school?
Well, I haven't used a lot of stuff that I learned in school, but I'm still glad I know it. I think it's part of having a well-rounded education.
Yeah, man, I don't know if algebra needs to be one of those, though.
Well, I mean, I took algebra when I went to college the first time back in the early 2000s, and it's like, it was almost a remedial class because it's shit that I should have taken in high school that wasn't that hard. I don't think it's necessarily that algebra is hard. I think it's the way they teach it can be bland and boring.
Right.
I happened to end up with a professor.
That's an exciting way to learn algebra, though.
He would take the equations and relate it to something in real life, something that most teachers, I don't want to say most, I don't know, I've only ever had a handful, but I would think some teachers don't. They just want to cram it in your head, cram it. This is what's going to be on the test. Learn it. You know, it's one thing to teach. I forget the word that they use to describe this. I don't know why I can't think of this stuff. It's one thing just to teach an algorithm to complete an algebraic equation, right? It's another thing to say to give someone something that they can use to visualize why they're doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It comes down to when you know algebra, it's like training your brain in a way to think abstract.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I can appreciate that point of view.
Yeah. I know my kids are going to take it. I'm not going to be. See, my parents didn't really push me into the math and science fields. I took the basics that I had to graduate, and I so wish I would have had someone push me into it, because I got out. I'm like, well, maybe I have an aunt that was really pushing me to take some community college classes. She's like, you need this stuff, and I'm like, well, I can't pay for it right now. And her and my uncle both, they own a pretty successful business in Memphis, and I remember she said, money's no object. She said, you go up there and sign up for classes, and then you bring me the bill. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, and don't forget to include the books either, because I know those are expensive. I'm like, all right. So I brought her, I'm like, well, this is how much you said it's going to be, and she pulled out her checkbook and wrote me a check right there. I'm like,
oh, that's awesome.
And then I later applied for a Pell Grant, and she didn't have to keep, footing the bill.
Right.
Yeah, but I being young and not really having a big direction, I was really interested in history. After I started going there, I got into the subject, and I thought I'd make a good history teacher. Then because I took the technical track in high school, I was going to have to take a foreign language. And there is a stark difference between a foreign language in high school and a foreign language at the college level. In high school, it's just like, just be able to repeat this on a test and you'll pass. The college Spanish 1 and 2, you were halfway fluent, or they intended you to be halfway fluent at the end of it.
Right.
And I hate foreign language. God, I hate it so much.
Do you speak fluent Spanish fluently?
Fuck no. That's why I didn't complete it at the time.
It's hard, huh?
Well, at the time I was working full time, and so to me, if you're gonna learn a foreign language, you need to be immersed in it. You can't just open a book and go to a class twice a week and learn a foreign language. You need to be in and amongst people who speak it.
Yeah, that Rosetta Stone shit, no, that shit doesn't cut either. I mean, it'll help you, but...
Yeah. And I don't know, now if I had to learn it, I'd probably like take up a weekend gig working at Los Portales, this restaurant we have here in town, you know, because it's nothing but, you know, Hispanic people in there. And they love to teach you. If you go in there and you try to speak Spanish, which is what I did at the time, I knew I was fucking it all up.
I'm always embarrassed to try to speak Spanish in front of someone.
Yeah, because you think it's going to insult them, and they're like, no, and then they'll tell you the right way to say it, you know. And their reaction was one of appreciation that you're trying to learn something that's our culture. You know what I mean? You're not, you know. But I never really got past counting to 20 and saying thank you and stuff like that. Right. But then I found out that I could get an Associate's of Science degree in Computer Information Systems. And it doesn't require a foreign language. And I'm like, well, fuck me, I've got all these credits up here that just aren't doing anything from all the entry classes I had to take. I can just go take all the technical classes and boom, I've got my degree. So that's what I'm doing. See, my wife, she works for an audiologist. And she originally started just to be like his personal secretary. This guy, he's a workaholic. He's great with people and selling them hearing aids, but he sucks at doing the paperwork part of it. And so the people at the clinic, the higher ups, are like, well, we'll get him his own secretary that doesn't necessarily that can, you know, be the go-between between the customers and him. You know, he'll diagnose them and tell them what they need, and then she'll come do all the paperwork part. Well, as it's been progressing, she's taken on more of like a tech role where she's actually pulling patients back and doing stuff that like a nurse would do for an actual, you know, another medical problem. And so she doesn't have to be an audiologist to be a hearing aid dispenser. You know, he can go in and diagnose what's causing the hearing problem. As a hearing aid dispenser, she can just do all the tests necessary to fit them with the hearing aid and calibrate it to what they need. And that'll be a big bump in pay for her. But in my state, to get a dispensing license, you have to have an associate's degree. And if you ask me, it's just a way to make sure not everybody goes out and does it, because she can practically do what needs to be done now. But, you know, she wants to have at least an associate's anyway, so, yeah.
What state is that?
Tennessee.
State of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know you, you work in law enforcement there, right?
I worked in law enforcement when I went back to school.
Oh, you don't anymore?
Yeah, I mentioned that on the site a couple times. But people, I was in it for 5 years, and I was working in the next county over. And so that was like a 40-minute drive one way. And there was no way I was going to be able to continue to do that, go to school full time to graduate in an amount of time I need to graduate, and pay for like daycare costs. So I was, you know, we're like, well, I can just come home, go to school, be like a stay-at-home dad. Here up until recently, I was doing some weekend work, but you know that's kind of gone away. But we're in a position where I actually don't have to work because our house is paid off and our vehicles are paid off and all that. So, you know, it's just we're living below our means. Well, we've never really lived above our means, but we're living below our means at the moment. And then once she gets her promotion to the what do you call that? What I just say, the dispensing license and doing all that, and then I can finally get a job in network engineering. Then you know we'll be living large again.
How'd you like working in law enforcement there? Did you get to even see much action from whichever department you were out of?
Yeah, I worked for a small sheriff's department, so it wasn't like one of these big city departments you see on the first 48 and whatnot. It was mostly boring. A lot of the times
Yeah.
it was really boring. Most of the
That's where people get in a lot of trouble, don't they? In towns where police officers are bored and they don't have much to do.
Yeah. Well, the county I worked in, it wasn't my home county. There's just one major city, and then that's it. And then there's the county. There's one city in the county. It's like we're like the hub metropolitan area of this part of the state. So, but there was the county seat, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other little small towns that all had their own police department. And
wow.
and it ranged between like 12 guys down to just one guy. And
what?
Yeah, it was like a one-man police department.
One guy?
Yeah, he was like the chief,
On duty?
and he would just work like 9 to 5. And when he wasn't working,
it needs backup.
Huh?
What if he needs backup?
That's what we were there for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and most of the time, especially on second shift had more, but on third shift, the county was like 600 square miles. There would be one of us deputies covering the entire north, and the southern part was split in half, and there'd be 2 deputies down there, and that was us covering. So if we went to something, a hot call, we pretty much had to expect that backup was at least 25-30 minutes away.
Shit.
So you had to. I mean, there were some deputies down there. They were real big and burly, and even then they didn't really push shit all that much until, if they thought stuff might get hairy, they just hang off and try and talk someone down. But me, I literally got the reputation, and I was told this by more than one person, of being the nicest deputy there by people who frequented the jail often.
Did you bust people for weed a lot out there?
No. See, that's the thing. We didn't do traffic. The sheriff down there, both the one that hired me and the one that was there when I left, neither one of them wanted us doing traffic enforcement. We had Tennessee state troopers down there assigned to the county that would do that, and then of course the cities, they had it as a revenue source basically to fund the police department, and then a little extra. So they would set up their little speed traps.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, the only thing we really did traffic-wise is if there was an accident and it did not involve a fatality, they would let us go out and work it. If it was a DUI, here's something else that's funny. If we got out there to work an accident and the guy whoever wrecked out, or one of whoever wrecked out, happened to be drunk, if a certain state trooper was working, we were supposed to hang tight and let him come out there and work it, because he was required to get a certain number of DUIs per month. And so instead of, I'm sure he was looking for him, but to make it easier on him, we were supposed to hand it off to him. So, he would be able to show that he was actually doing something. It's like, okay, that's great. But the state troopers down there would like cover 2 counties. And a lot of them like to stay over in the next county over because it was busier and closer, more traffic. It was closer to Memphis. And so it would take them a fucking half hour to get there. And then they would run code. They would run lights and sirens and drive like maniacs. Because I'd seen them go by a couple times. Like, what the hell are they going to? And then I'd find out it was just, a DUI. Someone wanted to turn over to them. Like, these fucking idiots.
Oh, God. So, in your entire 5-year tenure with the police department, what is the scariest thing that has ever happened to you? Man,
I really can't.
Scariest situation that you're in that you can think of?
I really can't say there's anything scary that happened. Maybe in hindsight it could have been scary.
Right.
I'll tell you something that in hindsight did kind of spook me a little bit, and not because I thought I was in danger, but there were these. We had gotten word that there was a guy who had warrants on him that was going to be coming into one of the little small towns. And
now, how'd you get word of this?
How did I get word of this? Oh,
yeah.
People, a lot of times, you wouldn't believe this, a lot of times it's like angry girlfriends. They know their boyfriends have warrants, and they'll call and say, you need to go pick up so-and-so. He's going to be here or there in so many minutes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but I don't know how they came across this guy was going to be in this little town.
But it's usually something like that.
It was in my area, we had a sheriff down there that was real gung-ho, and he liked to come out. He liked to come out and try and catch people, but that motherfucker never would put a pen to paper. Yeah, he wouldn't even submit like a report supplement to say what he did. He wouldn't get out there and drive his SUV around like a bat out of hell, and then once the guy was in cuffs, he'd go home for the night.
Wow.
But he's the sheriff, so he can do what he wants. But anyways, I happened to be like right near that town, so I went and sat up, next to the road this guy was going to be coming in on. And my lieutenant, he showed up and sat up somewhere else, and they gave us. He was supposed to be in a little white pickup truck, and I don't even know. He was just supposed to be coming into that little town. I think he lived there. And sure as shit, here comes a little white pickup truck, just like they said. And I fell in kind of behind him, and then my lieutenant got behind me. And then the sheriff, and he could tell we were about to make a traffic stop. And so he starts to pull over as if to let us go by him. And we wanted to wait till the last minute to put our lights on. Well, as soon as he pulled over and I turned my lights on, his driver's side door comes open. And so, I'm sorry, as soon as he pulls over, I pull up and actually use my car to block his driver's side door from opening because I don't like chasing after motherfuckers, right? And what happened was he had a guy in the truck with him, and he jumped out the passenger side and took off, and then this guy scrambled across and jumped out the passenger side door too, and took off toward the woods. And there was like this big open lawn, like a mowed area with just, regular grass. And I'm like running with a 30-pound fucking duty belt on, and he's just in shorts and a t-shirt. This is a white guy now. But
are those belts? Are they literally that heavy?
Oh Jesus, dude! I mean, when you carry the stuff that we have to carry just to do our job, yeah, they're. I may be exaggerating at 30 pounds. It's at least 25.
Wow,
and
that's still heavy.
Well,
that's very heavy.
Yeah. I mean, you get used to it, like you get used to. But still, when you're running and that stuff's bouncing up and down, you're not going to be, you're not going to be sprinting very far. And he already had a lead on me, anyways. But what his dumbass did, on top of it being chilly that night, the guy that jumped out of the passenger seat, I don't know why. We didn't know who he was. We didn't have warrants on him or anything. But my sheriff chased after his ass. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why are y'all going after that guy? I'm thinking this is I'm running after the dude that we have warrants on.
Because he ran.
Well, he ran back up the road, so the sheriff was like throwing it in reverse and flooring it like, oh, he's on the road so you can chase him in your truck. Oh, it's okay. Ain't no way I'm driving my car over here. But I ran him to the wood line, and as soon as he hit the wood line, it was really thick brush. And he ran far enough in I couldn't see him with my flashlight. But I knew he had shorts on, just a short t-shirts, and it was real chilly out, enough to be uncomfortable. And he wasn't going to stay in there long, so I just kind of stood there to make sure he didn't double back because there were other deputies coming to help for the search. And I didn't even know his name. And then one of the other supervisors was like, his name is Michael something. And I said, all right, cool. So I walk around the edge, this other part to go into the woods where there's less brush. And I said, I didn't say, Michael, you better get your ass out here now. We're going to beat the shit out of you. I didn't say anything like that. I said, this sounds like something out of a fucking movie. I said, Mikey, where you at, Mikey? Because he was younger than me. He was like in his early 20s. And I knew he didn't go far because when you run through brush, you can hear limbs and shit breaking. He ran just far enough in and then laid down. And so that
don't tell me he responded to that.
No, not at first. But it's, the other supervisor, he set up where I was, so he couldn't double back. And I just started making my way through all this heavy brush because I had real thick pants on and everything, and it didn't bother me, and boots. And I was like, Mikey, and where he was laying down, I would have walked right over the top of him, and he probably knew that. He went, okay, man, okay, I'll give up, man, I'll give up. And I don't know, I'm sure he'd been arrested before. Well, obviously, because we had warrants on him. And maybe he thought I was going to rough him up or something. But, I never did that to anybody. I said, all right, man. I didn't know what he had on him. It was pretty obvious he didn't have anything, but you never know because he had, just short in a t-shirt. So he stands up, puts his hands behind his back. And I walk him out, and the other supervisor had driven his car up there. So, I put him in the car, and then I got to walk my ass back. Well, here's the spooky part.
I was about to ask you.
Here's the spooky part. As I'm walking back, I'm walking next to this house. There's a couple trees and some bushes there, and it's pitch black outside. Besides my flashlight, and I hear the sound of a voice say, kind of yelling, not really yelling, but talking loud enough where I could hear him, directing it toward my supervisor's car that was driving by. I think he said, bitch-ass little nigga, or something like that. And I said, and I thought maybe...
Hey, wait. Say that again.
Well, you know what I said. Bitch-ass little nigga, and that's what he said, man. So, and I thought, in my mind, I'm thinking, this must be somebody that lives around there that came out and just knew the guy and was just wanting to shout something funny at him. And then, after I got back to the station and they told me that the guy had doubled back and tried to make it back to the pickup truck, but they had disabled it where he couldn't drive off,
right.
It clicked in my head. That voice was the guy, the passenger that had jumped out. He was hiding. I walked right by him. He was right there, and he didn't see me. What it was, he didn't see me or hear me walking up, and I'm sure it probably spooked him. Like, oh shit, I'm busted now. But yeah, they just didn't click in my head because it was normal for people that lived around the area to come out and see what's going on. You got all these blue lights, people yelling and shit.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a resident that knew the guy was making fun of him for getting caught.
That is funny.
And then we got back to the police station and or the department there, and of course, since I got the guy, I've got to write up the report about what happened, the stop and all that. And the sheriff's just standing around all huffing and stuff like, yeah, man, we got him, didn't we? Got him. And he said something to me, and I, being a smart ass, I said, you know what? I think you're just upset that I got my guy or something like that. He could, but I didn't want to ask him, why did you chase after that other motherfucker anyways? Let him go. We don't know who he is. We don't have no reason to. We sure as shit don't have any reason to chase after him, like we did. But this stupid shit like that happened down there all the time. I just try not to stay involved with it. I could tell you some others. I could tell you other little stories that happened down there.
Well, let's save a little time for something else that you'll probably want to talk about more.
Sure, what?
Jackson, it is a scary,
You hear
shocking
this?
video that
Yeah.
the Columbia Police Department now says is evidence in an assault investigation. Today, CPD announced 3 have been arrested for teaming up to attack a 20-year-old woman just about 2 weeks ago along the Saluda River near Candy Lane. Tonight, our Chad Mills joins us live in the studio with the latest. Chad?
Judy, by all accounts, it was a scary, ruthless beating. This x-ray was sent to WIS just a short while ago, and if you can tell what you're looking at, eyes are right here, nose in the middle, and if you look at that nose, you can...
So let me skip forward because they're talking about the girl's injuries.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the video. Go ahead.
It's a brutal video.
Stop.
That's almost nauseating.
These girls are jumping. What's about 5 girls here? Jumping this one girl.
Victim, Raimi Williams.
The other one was just wailing on her face, wailing on her head, on the back of her head. Like, they definitely could have killed her. Have a good time at the river.
So
It definitely could have killed her. I don't.
I'm not.
Of course,
I'm laughing at.
Of course, it's funny. It's funny because we know she didn't die. Okay.
Wait. Let me read the comment. The comment.
Oh, that I wrote. Okay.
Fullauto says, "Damn, I'm all about breaking up that fight. That is some prime rebound pussy just waiting to be snatched up. Come here, girl. Let me take care of that nose. I can't believe those 3 ugly bitches did this to such a beautiful face. Let her cry on your shoulder. Tell her how she's awesome, and they're all bitches. Do that, and you're balls deep in no time." So
Classic, right?
Right. So I say the shame on you for thinking that while watching this post with Ricky Gervais trying not to laugh. And you said, so far 5 dickless chumps have voiced their displeasure with my comment. I didn't say the concern for her well-being had to be complete bullshit. I swear the number of you uptight, thin-skinned little faggots here who can't handle or even recognize some off-color humor when they see it. And then it looks like you got into it with Pyronique and Backdraft.
Well,
you're a little touchy today, huh?
No. That's the thing. That's the thing about text. I can see how someone might assume that I'm writing that out of anger, but I shit you not. the only time, really I don't even ever really get frustrated writing stuff on here. I might get a little frustrated dealing with some of the nonsense I hear from people on the gun control issue, but I'm literally writing this like a troll voice, and I'm like, if you can't read that comment above and see that wasn't just a shit post, that was just something off the cuff trying to get a laugh, because you obviously did, and the vote stands now at 5 up, 8 down.
I was one of them. I showed my displeasure with my vote, and at the same time showed you that it was still funny.
Oh,
even though I felt bad for the girl.
Okay, but take this. Have you ever been in a situation where you've had a female that was like down and out or feeling bad or something like that?
Dude, Chris Rock talked about that. Remember, he's like, any guy friend that your girlfriend has, and when you guys break up, he's gonna be there to swoop in.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I'm sorry that this happened to you. Oh, you're such a wonderful woman. Need some dick?
Okay, so even Chris Rock understands. Women by their nature, I mean, unless they're a lesbian and have some type of male wiring in their head, I guess, but women by their very nature, they're emotional, and so they want someone to comfort them. And sure, I guess you could, other girls can comfort them, but a real woman wants, a big strong man there to kind of to be like a safe harbor, because I guarantee you, if this girl that was getting beat, if she had a boyfriend there, maybe she did, but he's just a pussy, but if she had a boyfriend there that was worth of shit, those girls wouldn't even gotten that far.
According to the guys, they said the guys were just recording.
That's her boyfriend?
I don't know if it's her boyfriend, but there were guys there, and they were
oh yeah, they were
recording their phones.
That's this generation for you. Just, oh, let's record this. Let's, I mean, when did chivalry fucking die? You know what I mean? Like, when did it become, okay, if it's two girls and they're just kind of pulling hair and, having a little slap fight, that's one thing. But it was like 3-on-1. That shit, no.
And the internet is amazing, but this is when the internet is fucked up, because the internet raised these fucking stupid bitches that did this.
Yeah.
And anytime you see these kids doing these stupid things, it's because of the fucking internet.
Yeah, well,
they're picking up so much stuff that they're desensitized to so many things that were so shocking to us when we were kids.
I don't know where it comes from, man. It's a bunch of stuff. I mean, it's obvious their parents weren't worth a damn, because my sister never would have done this. And my sister, I remember her growing up getting into a few fights with like some of my cousins. And
yeah, but how old is your sister?
Well, at the time, I think she was in her mid-teens. She was like 16, 17. She never did anything like this in her 20s.
How many years ago was this?
Damn, we're like in our 30s now. So
15, so before the internet heyday, or right?
Yeah, it was in the early days. Yeah, it was still dial-up, I'll put it that way.
Right.
So you
weren't seeing so much stuff back then.
Yeah, well, here's another theory. Maybe this stuff has always gone on, with like white trash people. But now that we have instant video upload shit and little smartphones that can record this, now it's coming to light more often. We see it more often.
The proof is in how these kids are talking, the shit that they're saying while they're laying down these beatings on people.
Yeah.
You see white kids, what's up, bitch ass nigga?
Yeah.
While they beat the shit out of somebody,
Yeah.
And it probably came from them seeing the shit on the internet somewhere.
Well, again, I mean, but we're I can't think of a word. Were white trash hoodlums like this a thing back then? Of course they were. It's just no one was around to record them. I don't think it's necessarily getting any worse, but Plus, there's a thing around where I live called Floating the Buffalo. There's this Buffalo River, like a couple counties over. This happened in South Carolina, but people go up there, they rent canoes, they float like 10, 15 miles, and they just get drunk and jump off cliffs and stuff. I could see this exact thing happening there. So, I mean, who knows if these girls were under the influence or what the hell they were fighting over. They're probably fighting over some dumbass man,
Dude, of course.
Yeah. Which is the dumbest shit ever to fight up, especially if it's a girl.
Some shit.
Yeah. I mean, if you're pissed at her because she's banging a guy you like, it's not her. It's necessarily the guy. Why don't you go fight the guy that's banging her?
No, bitches are crazy like that. They want the head of the fucking bitch.
Yeah. Well,
and then they'll deal with the dude and try to get back with him.
Yeah, they won't fight the dude. They'll show up in the middle of the night, slash his tires, and vandalize his shit.
And the girl cannot even know that he even had a girlfriend. Can have been lied to, saying I don't have a girlfriend, and then get with the guy, and the old girlfriend can even hear this and she won't give a shit.
But I say what I said before because I've dealing with the domestics that I had to deal with down there. I know it's a thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dumbassery is not a new thing. It's just we get to see more of it now with social media. And who knows?
So,
maybe the fact that people see it more means they'll do it less. I don't know.
Who the fuck knows? It's yet to be seen. See what the next 20 years brings.
But going back to my comment now, you got to admit there's a hint of truth in that, even though it is kind of a shitpost.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's just more than a hint of truth.
Yeah. And when I say it doesn't have to be complete bullshit, I mean, if you were a guy and you weren't there when it happened, but you came up afterwards, you know, that'd be a prime opportunity if you thought she was a good, you know, if you were interested in her, that'd be a prime opportunity to swoop in, you know.
Captain Save-A-Hole works perfect in a situation like this.
Yeah. But,
have you ever done that before, though?
No, not to that extent. I didn't meet my wife after some redneck fight, but.
Well, I mean, did you ever rescue a woman and have it work to your advantage?
No, because I met my wife early on. I have come, if you want to say, to the rescue or helped out girls that were in trouble, but not didn't get anything back from it. I'm such a square. If you knew me growing up, dude, I never got involved in anything because I was raised. I knew my dad. I was raised right from a young kid.
So you never made a mess of your life?
No, not to. I'm not as far as getting in trouble with the law and doing shit like that. No,
just fucking up as a young person.
Well, I mean,
whatever that may be.
I mean, I don't know. Is smoking weed fucking up?
Nah.
Yeah, see, I don't think so either.
It can be.
Well,
but I mean,
the thing was, I always did it at my house. I never went out and did it in public. When I got shit faced, I always did it at my house or at a friend's house. I never got out and did it in public.
Okay. So you used to be an actual weed smoker, or you just?
Oh yeah. Before all the way up until before I got married, or the day before I got married.
Yeah. How long have you been married?
11 years this year. It'll be 12 years this year, I think. Yeah, it's November.
That's a lot of years, man.
Well, and it's not as hard as I hear a lot of people say. Like, man, marriage is hard. I'm like, not if you find the right woman, it ain't.
Right. You lucked out.
Well, I guess maybe. According to the divorce statistics I did, I don't. There's certain things that you have to do in a marriage that I hear about people that don't do. Like, for instance, they don't.
Simple shit too.
They don't want to join their checking account. Like, you have your stuff, I'll have mine. Well, why the fuck are you getting married then? If you're basically living like single people, just in the same house, having kids, you know, why get married? It's not like you're getting tax benefits from it.
Right.
And you know, and plus when you leave, it isn't like she ain't gonna still get half your shit.
Yeah. I come to the conclusion in recent years that the woman of my dreams looks nothing like I ever would expect. Like, she's not gonna be some drop dead chick that everybody dreams to have as their woman. She's gonna be some plain ass broad, maybe have a little weight on her, but she's so down for me. Mm-hmm. She will never give me any problems. She gets me.
Yeah.
And never any drama. Just a woman that totally wins me over to make me say fuck that old fantasy. I've never seen a hot chick that comes at an easy price. No trade-off.
Right.
There's always some trade-off of some insanity or some chemical imbalance or some shit. I swear to God.
Yeah.
If you had to choose, who's your favorite person on the site? Spikednation.
Oh man, on the site. Well, for a while there it was Bannock. Well,
Bannock, really?
Well, that's because he's not around anymore. But when he was around, I could always count on him.
You guys were once enemies at one time, weren't you?
Well, early on, and that was, and we weren't necessarily enemies, but I was trying to troll, and he was trying to troll, and we would troll each other, and we were like in a contest, and then when I realized that he wasn't serious, and for the most part I wasn't serious. And then he actually invited me to talk to him on Skype, and we had a conversation one night. It's like, Hey, we got the same thing, same kind of troll attitude going on here. We like to stir shit up when we see it. So then we became kind of allies, and we would play off each other. And of course, at the time there was Berg. Do you remember Berg?
I do.
The fucking infamous Berg, dude. I sometimes miss that guy so much.
I want to get him on here.
Oh my God, he's not still on the site, is he?
No, he's been booted.
Well, I knew he got booted, but I mean, there was a guy there that was saying a lot of shit that Berg would say, but then.
Oh really?
Yeah, and when we caught.
Well, Berg, if you're back, man, please.
You mean like? Well, he can still watch the video, so yeah. Yeah, Berg, if you hear this, I'm not pissed at you or anything. If you want to jump on Skype and talk to me, I would love it. But I'll tell you this right now: when we tried to do our little podcast, we gave him every opportunity just to come on TeamSpeak. It's like, we don't care what you look like. If you want to keep your looks completely hidden, that's fine. But at least talk to us. No, I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna do that. You know, I'm like, what a fucking pussy, man. And I think it goes back to the fact that I started calling him out as like a young kid, like saying he was probably still in high school, making, trying to crack jokes about him living home with mommy and daddy. Because I'll be honest, a lot of the stuff he said sounded like something someone who didn't have a whole lot of life experience would say. And the fact that he was saying it from a position of like he was vested in everything he wrote was just like deep, he was just, I don't know, he was just there. It was all him. This is right. I'm right. You're wrong. Here's my sources. Blah, blah, blah. And if you just called him out on any one little thing, you could just tell he was mad all the time about whatever the subject was. And when
I never experienced that from him.
Well, you didn't pick at him like I did.
True. But usually when he would speak, it'd be like when I was sit back and watch, like it would just be too much for me to try to get involved.
Yeah, he would
conversation that I did not want to get into, so I would usually just watch them.
Well, if there was a Berg thread, especially if it was me and him going back and forth, you better get ready to do some scrolling, son, because those responses and everything is gonna be long as fuck.
And then when the boxes get really tiny.
Yeah, you had to do the little trick to make it shit over.
And it goes like a straight line all the way down.
But I kept a mental running list of buttons that I knew I could push. That would, and one of the big ones before he got booted, he was he thought he could get at me with the whole gun issue, but it's like whatever. I could always flip that on him. But when he first started coming out about Donald Trump being a racist and all this stuff, I'm like, you just gave me another button to push. And I just. Everything I said was just fucking pro-Trump.
Bro, Donald Trump,
oh, man.
Donald Trump, I think the biggest mistake he ever could have made when these things were happening at his rallies, I think the biggest mistake he ever could have made is by not taking those moments and turning them into a positive for himself.
You mean where the people out in the audience were fighting?
Right. Like deliver a positive message through it. Something about being peaceful or something.
Yeah, but...
Like, oh, yeah, I'll pay the fucking bill. I'll pay you legal fees.
Yeah, well, that apparently... Hey, that's what... People are so... some people are so desperate for a leader of the type that they haven't had in the past 8 years. George Bush wasn't even like Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump is so off the map when it comes to like what you commonly think of as being a president. Someone who's
slowing it down a little bit. I get what he's doing.
I think. Well, right now you got to. Here's what I'm thinking. It's the primaries. He knows it's a knockdown, drag-out fight, and he knows who his political enemies are as far as this contest goes, and he's taking advantage of everything he can. And he's going to do the same to Hillary. Hillary tried to fuck with him a couple weeks or a couple months back. I don't know if you remember this, talking about something about women, how Donald Trump was being, wasn't thinking about women. I don't know. Something he said, he's always saying this outlandish shit, but something he said, Hillary tried to play it as if he was anti-woman. And he came back and said something about her and Bill and the stuff they've done in the past, and they shut the fuck up quick. Right. I honestly think she's afraid of him. I don't know why she's even still in the race. Her ass, well, she needs to be, but she's about to be indicted if everything is going the way they say it's going to go.
Really?
For the whole email stuff. I mean, people, they're not talking, the mainstream media won't talk about it, and I don't give a fuck, but it is dishonest.
Some kind of breach.
Okay, I'm no expert on this subject, but this is all I know. She had her own personal IT guy set up an email server in her home.
Right.
And she used that for official government business. Emails that were classified, that were only supposed to go through the government's own network. She had her staff members send to her on her private email server. And then when that came to light and they tried to go get it, she had her IT guy wipe it to try and get rid of any evidence that there was any official shit on it. And the IT guy has been given immunity from prosecution to be to testify to the FBI about what he did. And even though he erased it or tried to format the drive, there's ways to get shit like that back. They've still managed to recover evidence that she did in fact receive, classified emails when she told them she didn't, knowingly lied that she didn't.
It just seems so unnecessary, such a stupid thing to get herself in trouble for, to risk getting in trouble for.
Well, you tell me about it. I don't know if it was I don't know if she just had this mindset that these are the rules, they don't apply to me. I'm the secretary of whatever. It's easier for me to get my email on my BlackBerry through my own personal shit than to use the government stuff. Because I know a guy who is still in the National Guard, and even though he's just in the Guard, he's in the Army Reserves. He has an Army email address that's on this same secure system, because sometimes he'll get orders to go do stuff, and they don't want that just out in the general internet. And there's his little ID card has this SIM chip in it, kind of like a credit card does, the chip and pin. He has a device, it's a USB device. He has to plug it in his laptop and actually put his ID card in it in order to access his Army Reserve email. They take that shit real serious, and I don't even know if he has secret clearance, but imagine if they did have some, they were going to send like that. Anyways, the fact of the matter is, when they asked her about it, she tried to cover it up, and now it's come to light. And even if she's not indicted for the email, she still lied to the FBI, and that's a crime. So,
yeah, she's not. I don't see her beating Bernie.
You don't?
No.
Have you been looking at the?
I know that she was ahead the last time that I paid attention. A lot.
Well,
but
are you saying the states that are coming up are going to go Bernie all the way or something?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, California hasn't come in yet.
A lot of people are not comfortable with her.
Yeah.
With the stuff that you're talking about and the stuff that her and Bill were in trouble for years ago.
Well, I think I'm trying to see how many delegates California has 548 delegates, but it's proportional. Okay, so it's not a winner-take-all thing. But, I mean, how much of California do you think is going to go for Bernie versus Hillary? Of the Democrats that vote there.
I don't know, but my personal consensus seems to be that Democrats are going towards Bernie, not Hillary.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't been following the polls, so I might sound completely ignorant on the subject.
Well, if you type in Democrat primary in Google, it gives you a rundown here. The states that have done their primary and the states that haven't. What part of the country are you from, by the way?
I'm in Southern California.
Oh, okay. So you're right there in the heart of it. Yeah, see, if it wasn't for the superdelegates, I mean, like, if all the superdelegates decided to go to Bernie right now, he'd actually be ahead. So, I mean, they're neck and neck, but I don't see, I don't see either one of them beating Trump. And here's another thing, too. We don't know who Trump's going to get for his vice president.
Dude, I don't think Trump's going into the office.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah, I seriously doubt it.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I live here in the South and I see how shit's going.
Yeah,
it makes me a little biased. And see, you live in California, so
that might be a little hopefulness talking. But man, at least where I am, Trump. People respect where he's coming from and what he's doing, but no one's comfortable with Trump out here.
What do they not when they say stuff? Ow. when they say, do they just do the normal line? Oh, Trump's a racist.
He's just too over the top, and he's just not. He just doesn't carry the positive things that you would look for in a president.
Well, what?
And like with his statements that he makes,
What do you?
when he attacks people and goes after the girl on the news, and
Megyn Kelly.
He just has never been able to bridle his mouth.
Yeah.
So many things. And
you think the fact that makes him popular with a lot of people is a reaction to the
absolutely. Hell yes.
To the view that.
Listen, I love it all, but will I vote for him? No. Not voting for Trump, and it has nothing to do with
Bernie versus Trump. Who you vote for?
Bernie.
Hillary versus Trump. Who you vote for?
Hillary.
Hillary versus Cruz.
Hillary.
Bernie versus Cruz.
Bernie.
So basically, you're just voting Democrat. That's what it goes down to.
And now, if we turn that around, it'd probably be the same for you too, wouldn't it?
Probably, yeah. But I don't. I just think Hillary's a cunt, and I've actually said that on the website. I mean, stuff she's done in her past when she was an attorney, stuff she did to cover up for Bill and all the shit he did, not while he was in office, just, the women and stuff he allegedly, had sex with against their will, otherwise known as rape. But, covering that up and whatnot.
So guess what?
Yeah, what's that?
We're coming up on 59 minutes and 47 seconds.
Yeah, time goes fast, doesn't it?
I mentioned the time to Fullauto because before we started recording, he was concerned that being just the two of us, that we wouldn't have much to talk about, and he just didn't see how we could carry on a podcast by ourselves. Then he asked me, how long? I go, about an hour. And he goes, oh, that's too long.
Well,
here we are, an hour.
Yeah.
Just like that, right?
Well, here's why a potential Trump thing doesn't scare me as much as a lot of people act like it's the end of the world. I don't know how much power that other leaders see. The governments they have in Europe, the prime minister wields a lot of power because he actually sits in parliament and helps make the laws. You know this, being that you live in the United States. The president, the best he can do is propose a law. And even if he does do an executive action, the Congress can turn right back around because they control the purse strings and say, oh, no, and put into law that whatever agency can't do anything in furtherance of that executive order. So, even if Trump got in, I don't know. I do know this. The people that are running the GOP right now, they need to fucking go. And Cruz is right there with them. Everyone talks about, Cruz, he's a true conservative. Well, however you define quote unquote true conservative, which I don't necessarily like conservatism just because people tend to lump in a bunch of biblical bullshit with it. Like, one of the things about being a true conservative is they'll say it's religious liberty, but what they really mean is Christian supremacy. You know what I mean? Right. America is a religious country, but it's Christianity one, and then everything else down the line.
Right. No. Are you a religious person?
No.
Congratulations.
Not at all. I was back in the old spiked. What is it? What did we say it was? Spiked humor. Yeah.
So high.
Back then, yeah, I remember. Oh, it's so cringeworthy now, making all of these stupid, which I now see as illogical creationist arguments with people, kind of like I argue the gun stuff now. Except, with metaphysical stuff back then. But, that's one of the things back. I think I came to my senses on that subject around 08, 09. So, it's been a minute.
Yeah, I'm so happy that I'm no longer believing any of that ridiculousness. Well,
here's something that probably maybe would have made me change my mind sooner. Even before then, I did a lot of reading from a lot of the writing that the founders did. But because I was looking at it, anytime I was reading up, I was trying to find stuff in the Federalist Papers about how government should work. But you can go back and read some of the private letters and see that Jefferson, at most, was a deist, Then I found out, and I found most of this out, the biggest influence was Christopher Hitchens. and it sucks so much ass that he got cancer and died, because he would be on the front lines standing against this new leftist bullshit censorship stuff, this whole what we describe as being social justice warriors, all this stuff about, oh, I'm offended, I'm this and I'm that. There's a great speech he gave to the Canadian Parliament about that, I think it was Canada, about a censorship laws they were trying to vote on, and what, you know, the right of speech doesn't just involves the speaker, but involves my right to hear what the speaker has to say. I could go into it, but it was a really, really good speech. And one of the things he said was that whoever invited him there for that debate offered him like protection or something for whatever he said, and he said he declined the offer. He's like, I don't need your protection. And he wasn't afraid to get up and say stuff about Islam either. And then, you know, all the stuff that's going on now, I don't remember hearing a lot about it when he was, you know, doing the big. It was like him, Dawkins, the Four Horsemen they call them. The only one that's still around that's really speaking out about it is Sam Harris, and he gets shit on daily by people.
Really?
Yeah. Well, from the times I see him, he's one of their main targets. People that want to get up and say, "Oh, not all Muslims." Not well. No one's saying all Muslims, dipshit. A good number of them.
This Ben Carson guy is just, he probably focused so much on that he didn't apply that objective reasoning and that intellect to examining the various aspects of the mythology that is accepted as his reality. I mean, because Christianity, at the end of the day, with no proof, everything is mythology. Everything. With no proof. With proof, then you examine the proof. It's super simple. And anybody that argues against that is just, you're just biased. You have your own ideas. If you have some proof that there was a God, that this God had one son, and he made this son come down and get the fuck beat out of him and nailed to a board so that we could all have no sin. Can you show me some studies? Do you have a box of evidence that you can pull out and we can examine all the different pieces that points to the undeniable conclusion that that's true? Because if you don't, then it's a myth. Then you're believing mythology. Doesn't mean it's not real, but if you put all your fucking eggs in that basket and you don't have any proof at all, well, you're entering into this weird world where you don't pay attention to shit. You're entering into this weird world where you ignore certain aspects of things because you've decided what is and what isn't. That's not thinking. That's not thinking. That's like, it's convenient cookie holder placement of ideas. It's not thinking.
Isn't Joe Rogan, man, his logic when it comes to this, he can make the most religious person probably just re-examine their like you said, their logic on the whole thing.
Well, yeah. Well, you got to think. You live in Southern California. Maybe you think that. I live in the heart of the South. I live below the Mason-Dixon line. If you go further south into Mississippi, you get worse than it is here in Tennessee. But there's a stand-up comedian named Doug Stanhope. Have you ever heard of him?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll just read part of the act that he's talking about here when it comes to why it's important that religious people know they have to indoctrinate their kids. And he says, quote, I don't think they should be able to teach religion until you're 18 years old. And you know what? It would be a whole different world. Because if they weren't pushing this shit into your head while you were still soft, you'd never buy it. Not for a minute. If you'd never heard about the Bible and none of your friends have ever heard about Christianity, and you just found a Bible in a used bookstore,
right?
You'd jump right on that, wouldn't you? Oh,
right.
This sounds completely logical. Yes, the cave and the ark. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Donnie, I think I found the meaning of life here. No, you
shot.
fucking chuck that in the waste bin, wouldn't you?
You would compare it to fucking Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and the reason I think it's the reason I was able to pull myself out of it was because I started looking into it as a way, and I hear this from other people too, that have gone down the same path. I started looking into it as a way to defend the faith, and then I'm like, oh well, here's their.
How did you used to defend it?
I'm sorry.
How did you used to defend
Man,
it?
just look up any debate Christopher Hitchens has with some Bible scholar, and everything the Bible scholar is saying is what I was saying at the time. And I watched those videos originally with the intent, like the first time I ever saw Sam Harris in a debate, I remember thinking this guy is like literally Satan. I mean, I had this like, oddly enough, it was like a hatred for the man. And now it's just like, why? And then, so Christopher Hitchens, it's hard to hate Hitchens because, you know, he's like someone you could have a beer with. And he never would come back. He never seemed like he was being, well, he's British for one, so the British accent kind of.
He passed away though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He had esophageal cancer.
Right.
Yeah,
When did he pass away?
2009, I want to say, or 11.
Yeah,
Maybe it was 11. Did you look it up? I think it was 11.
I'll look it up while you.
He may have found out he had cancer, but it was pretty quick because it was already in the latter stages when he had found out about it. But anyways, he had a British accent, which is already disarming in and of itself because it's like, as an American, for all you
get away from saying so much.
Well, for all you Europeans that are listening to this, or non-Americans, when an American hears a British accent, automatically they think, "Wow, this motherfucker's smart. I need to listen to him."
Right. He died in 2011.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So when I would see Hitchens having these debates, and he would just be sitting back, you know, kind of waving his hand, and he was flicking away their arguments like they were just gnats, like so easily, and his counter arguments to them were so easy to grasp and understand. I just couldn't help but think, wow, that kind of is bullshit. You know what I mean? And so eventually it just kind of occurred to me, like, I felt guilty thinking about it at first, like, man, I'm really, why? You know, because that's what you're fucking programmed to think as a kid. Like, you're evil if you deny your Lord and Savior. But then it's like, wait, I can think about this logically, and if it's logically, why not, have anything to fear? And one of the other ones I think is Epicurus. Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't.
Ancient Greek philosopher. This is what he said, and because when you talk about God and him being omnipotent and all-knowing, and actually, I'll tell you about a conversation I had with my dad in just a second. But this is what he said, and it's a translation, I'm sure, but it makes sense. He says, it's a thought experiment. It says, if God's all powerful and all knowing, then it says, is God willing to prevent evil but not able? Well, then he's not omnipotent. Is he able but not willing? Well, then he's malevolent. Is he both willing and able? Well, if that's the case, then why do we have evil? And if he's neither able nor willing, then why would you call him God? And the other day I've got a loudmouth asshole of an uncle, and he was going on one night about, I don't have any love for Obama as far as policy-wise, but I don't think he's like the Antichrist, for obvious reasons. But my uncle made some statement to that effect. One night I was working on his computer for him, and I'm like, are you serious? You really think that? And he was like, what, you don't think the devil's going to come back? And I'm like, no, I said, no, that shit's stupid. And just basically called him out. And he's like, he said, you don't believe in the devil? I'm like, no, I don't believe in the devil. He's like, you don't believe in God either? I said, there's no evidence for it. And he was just like, you know, and of course I'm over there doing him a favor, so he's not going to kick me out of the house or anything. But then he turns around, because I hadn't said anything to my parents because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. He runs around and runs straight to them like the next day. And so my mom like comes in the room and asks me about it when I'm up there visiting. And I had to tell her basically the same thing. Mom, I just don't see any evidence for it. It made my mom cry. Now, he'll say I made her cry, but she wouldn't have been crying if it hadn't been for him opening his loud fucking mouth and discussing telling them about a conversation we had. So
you were going to just let it lie? You weren't going to...
Yeah, I didn't see where it mattered. I mean, you know, y'all go to church on Sundays and I don't. So, what the fuck ever.
My mom, that was the same thing with my mom. She would never, ever stop bugging me about it. Ever.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, she was, by the time that I realized it was bullshit, she passed away before that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I always thought to myself, if I realized that it was bullshit while she was still alive, I probably wouldn't have told her. You know, she needed a higher power and angels and all that other stuff.
And I don't see where, I mean, my parents are almost 60 now, and so they're not of my generation. They've done all this stuff, and what I really didn't want to happen, which has happened since, not not that they like disown me or anything like that. Obviously, I've got 3 of their grandkids. They're not going to disown me. But and I live just right down.
What religion is this?
Southern Baptist.
Okay.
Well, my mom was Church of Christ, but they're so close it really didn't matter.
They don't shun members that stop going, do they?
Not that I know of. What, Southern Baptist people? No, they believe this once saved, always saved stuff. Like,
because you said something about your parents weren't going to disown you because you have their grandkids.
Well, just because they knew if they pulled my parents wouldn't do this anyways. But another thing would be if they did, they wouldn't be able to see their grandkids because they wouldn't be able to they wouldn't want me to be around. So, even if they were inclined. If they had been inclined to do something like that, then, whatever. But no, they're not like Westboro Baptist people where they kick you out of the house and shit and shun you. But but every now and then, now my mom won't get into it. I don't know. It's just she gets emotional about it, whatever. But my dad from time to time he'll do little poking stuff, and he'll say, well, I'll be praying for you, and I'll say, well, I'll be thinking for you. And I asked him the other day, I said, Dad, are you saying that on purpose? Are you just saying that to try and pick? I said, because if you want to discuss it, I'll talk to you about it. And his big thing is, well, the first thing he did after he found out was like come up to my house and sit down at the kitchen table and say, so where's all this coming from? Like he thought I was having some type of midlife crisis. And I'm like, Dad, this is kind of been a thing since like 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? I said, it's not a big deal. I said, my wife knows about it. She still goes to church. She still believes in all. She has told me that I've given her a lot of things to think about, but I don't push the issue, whatever. But his biggest thing, the thing he always comes back to is, well, where did everything come from? And I've done such a good job of explaining to him at different points, like, where did humans come from? And I've explained that. Where did the universe likely come from? I've explained that. The other day, he said something, we got into it, and he said, well, tell me where everything came from. And then right as I started to explain, he's like, I don't want to hear nothing about no science or books or anything. And I said, well, there's your problem right there. I said, you would rather believe something written in some ancient textbook about
instead of some proof.
Yeah, instead of something that's evidence-based and logical.
Something you can sink your teeth into.
Yeah. Because his whole thing was, if it was meant to be, then it'll meant to be. And I said, think about this, Dad. We were talking about something. I'd applied for a entry-level tech position. And he's like, well, if it comes through, it must be God's will. I'm like, and if it doesn't come through, what's the deal then? Well, it's just wasn't meant to be. I'm like, so what you're telling me is either way, your God comes out on top, right? If I get it, he's awesome because that's what I was meant to do. If I don't get it, he's still awesome because he intends me to do something else. I'm like, do you not see any issues with that? Oh, me.
So, we're coming up on that time where we're...
Are you wanting to cut it short?
Well, we're not cut it short. We're 17 minutes over.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're on a thing now, so.
But anytime that you're down to do this, man, you're welcome.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're still wanting to talk about something else, I've got time, man.
No, I actually got to run.
Oh, you do? Okay.
And I'm trying to keep these to be around an hour.
Okay. Well, you've got some stuff to edit anyway, so yeah.
Got some stuff to edit, yeah. And but yeah, if you want to come back on some other time, and I got some really good people coming up. They're so good that I don't think I even want to tell you guys. But yes.
Well, I'm always up to talk about the gun issue, so.
Expect the next 2 to be really awesome with 2 different guests that you'll want to hear from, or you haven't heard from in a long time.
Are they site members?
They are Spike members.
Okay.
Yes.
And you want to keep who they are secret till the show?
These are people who you all know, both of them.
All right.
Yeah. So. Well, all right, man. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
And we'll talk to you again soon, and I'll see you on the site.
All right. See you there.
All right.
Pattersons are coming over, and we only have about enough grass left to roll one joint.
Oh, that's okay, Ted. I'll just mix it up real good with this.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm making marijuana helper.
Marijuana helper?
That's right. With Pillsbury's new marijuana helper, there'll be enough of this Colombian to go around for everybody. And look, marijuana helper makes our dope look as rich and potent as the best red bud.
Marijuana helper.
Now you can get as much as 3 ounces from every every ounce you buy, thanks to Pillsbury's new marijuana helper.
Honey, you're a genius.
There. Now put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Pillsbury's new marijuana helper from the makers of Angel Dust Cake. Pillsbury.
It really works.